Hey everyone, I'm Paul Lemiski, and in this video, we're going to show you how to fabricate the Maloof Joint jig. What's a Maloof Joint jig? It helps us fabricate the front Maloof joint. I wish I had one right now. Whoa, look at that. This is a Maloof Joint jig. It's going to help you fabricate the front Maloof joint on either my guitar pick stool, my sculpted bar stool, or the dining chair. So let's head over to the workbench and build it now. I've been fabricating Sam Maloof style furniture for over 10 years. I first bought plans from Hal Taylor, and my front Maloof joint is still based off of his jig that he uses for the rocking chair. This is what we're doing, folks. The Maloof joint. Basically an exposed tongue and groove joint. Very strong, lots of glue surface, and everything is exposed. So you're gonna see how it all fits together. But what that does, it leads to nice sculpting that we can do. So it's pretty exciting. I love this type of joinery. The jig, that's what's gonna help us cut this joint accurately, quickly, and repeatedly every single time without any measuring. This jig is literally just gonna slide in your seat, get registered, get clamped, and we're gonna use it. It's as simple as that. So the tools that you're gonna need to cut the front Maloof joint is a router, 1/2-inch spiral bit, 3/4 inch brass bushing, a pen, don't forget the safety glasses, and a pair of quick clamps. Okay, so let's have a look at the jigs. The dining chair. We have 1 7/8 as the front block. We have 3 1/4 inch as the space that the router is going to ride in. And then we have a 4-inch wide block at the back. This is going to create a notch on the seat that's 2 inches from the front of the seat, 3 inches wide, and 1.25 inches deep. Now the bar stool, slightly different, that it has a front block of 1 7/8, a gap of 2 1/4 inches, and then a back block that's 4 inches wide. This will create a notch that's 2 inches from the front of the seat, 2 inches wide, and 1.25 inches deep. And the guitar pick, a little bit different, that it's not going to register to the front of the seat. It actually has a center line that's drawn right in the center of the Maloof joint. The top is constructed with a piece that's 3.5 inches wide. The gap is 2 1/4 inches. And the back piece is again 3.5 inches wide. This will make a notch that's 2 inches wide by 1.5 inches deep, and you're gonna line it up with the center line that's included with the template. So now that we've gone over all the measurements, we're gonna put the 1/2-inch spiral bit in the router, get that brass bushing in, and I'm gonna show you how we fabricate it from here. So we're gonna demonstrate using the dining chair front Maloof joint jig. Say that 10 times fast. Say it twice even. Seat blanks here in my vise. No measuring required. Just slip this on here and hold her nice and tight. Next up, we're gonna use that pen and we're just gonna be tracing the shape of the notch. Now we're gonna go over to the bandsaw. We're gonna make about 10 to 15 kerf cuts, and then we're just gonna break away that material. We wanna stay off of our pen line about a 1/16, even up to 1/8 of an inch is okay. We're then gonna clean it all up with the router. So let's go to the bandsaw. Okay, we're back here at the workbench. One tool I forgot to mention, simple chisel. You can use a flathead screwdriver. Really, you could use all sorts of things. We're gonna go in here and we're just going to break away the excess. Super satisfying, by the way. So I call that the brute force. We don't want to remove all that material with the router. We're going to burn out our bit, crazy loud, sawdust everywhere, not very enjoyable. By using your bandsaw, removing 90–95% of the wood, it's much easier on your tools as well as your mental health. Back to the jig. Again, we're just going to slide it right onto the seat. And now this is where the quick clamps come in. We're going to quick clamp it like so. And then usually another one right here. Just want to make sure that this is registered to the front of the seat, nice and square along the edge. I'm just usually feeling it with my fingers and really looking at it. I also like having the quick clamps pointing this direction so they're not in your way over here. Next up, very simply, we have our 1/2-inch spiral bit in the router with the 3/4 inch brass bushing. We're going to place this on top of the jig, and all we need to do is lower this down until it just lightly touches the top of the jig. If anything, be slightly proud of it. We don't want to be removing that material. Then from here, you're going to use your router to remove all the material that the bandsaw did not take. I always go on the left-hand side and I'm pushing along the jig. And then when I travel over to the right-hand side of the jig, I'm always pulling toward. That's because of the direction the router bit's spinning. So this is one of those operations I really like being up front and personal with, so I get right down there and I look at what's going on. You don't actually have to. You can trust your brass bushing, push it against the jig and clean out the material, but it is kind of fun watching what's going on. So I'm gonna head down there now. Very important, we want to leave the router till it fully stops before you remove it from the jig, because there is a good amount of bit exposed from here. It's very easy to pull this out and then nick the side of your jig, and then you're done, because this is always going to copy the smoothness of this side. It's also safe practice, let the router stop before pulling it out. Before removing the jig from the seat, I like to blow it out and have a good look that you've hit every spot that you need to hit and everything looks fantastic here. So I can remove this joint, this jig. So now I'm going to repeat the process on the other side, so we'll see you in a second. So the fabrication is done with the jig. We're going to head over to the shaper table or your router table. We've already installed the 1/2 inch rabbeting bit. So let's get to it. So I've already had the bit in the table, and the setup is just having it slightly lower than the table surface. If for some reason you have a really, really thin seat, you may want to have it a little bit lower. We're going to be doing both the bottom surface and the top surface here. I really like holding the seat against my hip, and I'm actually leaning in and really trying to control it, making that motion with my whole body. Rather than just holding the seat like this, I feel like when it hits the bit, it has much greater chance to move around. So I like having it right against my hip. I'm going to slide in very slowly right to that bearing, go in, across, and then pull out nicely. Don't forget to plug in your machine. So it's the bottom side done. Always keep in mind you have a lot of bit exposed right now, so as you see I always wait till it fully stops before I do anything. I'm going to now have a look at what we've created, and it looks really, really nicely. I like to feel it with my finger to see if I have any lumps or bumps, and everything feels great. So I'm going to go ahead, flip the seat over, and do the opposite side. So that's it for the fabrication of the front Maloof joint. So if you bought my guitar pick stool, my bar stool, or my dining chair plans, I hope this video helped you along in the process of creating the Maloof joint jig as well as using it. As always, thank you everyone for your support, for watching these videos and purchasing my templates and my plans. It's really, really awesome. Super, super appreciate it. So smash that like button and get back in the wood shop, make some sawdust. And of course, make it a great one. All right, so let's have a look at the joints. I don't know what I'm supposed to say right now because my producer didn't tell me. We talk a lot before the scene and then I butcher it really, really badly. So I'm just gonna start with, so the fabrication's done for the front Maloof joint because I'm gonna put this down.